Yeah, 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 Urko. Hey, 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 look.
Yo, what it is, what it do? I go by Steph Urkel, and we have our wonderful co-host.
Afropuff, also known as Amari.
Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Millennium Dungeon. Hope everybody had a productive weekend. I did, and we got returning on guest. He like a vet now.
Absolutely. That's what
Dom,
I'm
what's up,
saying.
man?
What's going on, brother? Glad to be back.
That's what's up. What's up? How you been? What you been up to, man?
Man, just summertime's coming up, so we got vacation, stuff like that. So just working hard, being like you, trying to get back in the gym.
I know you see him. You know what I'm saying? Some light. You
Yes,
know what I'm
sir.
saying?
Yes, sir.
Look like Jiraiya from Naruto. Oh yeah. Well, I know Mario was like, "Yeah, all right, Nick."
Right.
Yeah,
Trying it.
That's what you getting there. By
I'm
the end of the
trying.
summer, you gonna be bulking up this winter.
Yeah, I'm trying to, man. I'm just more to like trying to get lean. That's all, leaner.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
So let's get right into it, y'all. We was talking about graduation and a lot of these kids. Obviously, you know, it's like graduation season. Like a lot of kids from school, especially high school and college are graduating. You see like them with their caps and gowns and shit, all like that. And it's like just had me thinking like, damn, it's really been like what? It's been 6 years since I graduated college, and it's been 10 years since I graduated like high school. And this is thinking like it was just yesterday. It was like I was just walking on across stage. You know what I'm saying? And I don't
Right.
know how many years it's been for y'all. How many years it's been for you, Don?
Yeah, so eight years I've been out of a high school, and then 4 years since I got my degree, which I think is the craziest part.
What about you, Afro?
So 8 years yesterday, I graduated from high school. I graduated on my mom's birthday.
Oh, that's
Okay.
sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I think I graduated high school on my mom's birthday too. It was the 18th. Damn, that's funny.
that is funny. And
Damn.
then I graduated in fall of 18. So it's been like 3.5 years for
Yep.
me from college.
Okay.
And both are like, what? How is this
Mm-hmm.
happening?
I don't know
How am I
how.
getting so old?
Listen, I'm glad black don't crack. Cause listen, I'm trying to tell you, I'm feeling old out here.
I'm
But
It's
just
been
waiting for that
unproblematic
moment
and
that I
drink your
start
water.
feeling like an adult.
yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Bills was like standing right behind you, rubbing their hands together like Birdman, like,
Yep.
what it do, player? I'm like, oh damn, man.
Well, that's it. I'll catch myself like talking to coworkers and things like that, and like looking at them like they're an adult, and then like when it's time for my input in the conversation, I'm like, oh wait, I'm an adult too. I gotta say something responsible here.
Listen, try being a teacher. And like all the teachers I work with are significantly older than I am.
hmm
Like the youngest is maybe like 38, 39. Um, and
That's
then
the youngest.
yes.
Oh,
So, and my one coworker is 68. Um, and so it's just so funny because when certain situations come up, I'm like, I'm the adult here. Ooh.
Yeah, you start
Or like
looking for
in
somebody else.
conversations, I have to be like, no, MR, you deserve to be here. You need to assert your opinion. Don't let them think just because they've been doing this longer that you don't have an opinion. And because I work at the school that I went to, it's also a different dynamic because a lot of those teachers were here when I was here. They were my teachers, you know?
oh
So it's a whole
damn.
different ballgame.
And
But yeah,
I think kind of the cool part, especially with your field, is that when you come in, you get to see because you have people that are 68. I mean, think about it. Somebody who's 68 and started teaching 40 years ago, like that's a really like vastly different dynamic than somebody who's just coming out of college and the way that they teach now. So
oh,
kind of like
100%.
blending that together.
Right. Listen, you got to give respect to your veteran teachers because one,
Right.
it's hard to stay in that long, but also they're wealth of knowledge because when you like graduate from college and you have your education degree, but it's not practical. You learn on the job and you're teaching yourself. They said this in college and I didn't know how true it was. You're really teaching yourself, reteaching yourself the stuff you're going to teach your kids like the night before. Um, but by the time you're a veteran teacher, you don't have to reteach yourself nearly to the same capacity, and you have a whole bunch of tools under your tool belt to just pull out when you need to. So I'm going over to the teacher next door, like, so what would you do in this?
Y'all ever watch that show on ABC called Everly?
I love that show, Abbott
Yo,
Elementary.
Yo,
Yes.
that show was funny as hell,
When
and
to
it's like
be-
real.
It's so like, it's funny, it's obviously not 100% like accurate, but it's so accurate in so many ways at the same time. Like you
Yeah.
really, I just see myself and I'm like, wow, this is really the education experience.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just funny because, like, obviously, it's like you say, it's not 100% accurate, but it's like after being like in a like school setting, it's like, yo, that's really how kids be. Like,
Mhm.
and that's like probably how a lot of teachers, especially like a lot of
And the
newcoming
teachers.
be. Like they be like, I don't know what to do. Help me here, So,
Right. Exactly. And when you're like the young new teacher, you are hopeful and full of ideas, and you're like, I just want to make a change. I want to make a difference. I want to change the system. And as you get older, you do sometimes become more like the older
Cynical.
yes. You're more like not cynical necessarily, but I can only do what I can do. And I'm going to do the best with what I have.
Right.
Gotcha.
I can't change the world, but I can do what I can in my own classroom.
That's all the best of us can do.
Yeah. And that's why I think graduation is so important. It's such a big deal. Like my 8th graders graduated today, and yeah, they have like 4 more years of, their primary education to go, or rather secondary education to go. But that's still a big deal. Like it's a big transition from being seen as a kid and going to like kids school to now being like a mini adult.
Absolutely. I mean, I think now, especially more than ever, celebrate the wins.
Yes.
Whatever you're graduating, whatever you're moving up from, and especially graduation. And this year with like people actually being able to graduate and there's no COVID, it's not online, you can actually
Right.
kind of get back out there and do those things. I mean, celebrate the wins.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So let me ask y'all something then. Since it's obviously we all we can all agree that we got a little age gap when it comes to how far we graduate high school. So what are some things that you feel like you learned from being in high school that you still like remember or like take the value to this day?
So I think for me, like in regards to like learning in high school, I think the best thing that you can take from high school is just learning how to interact with your peers. I think that, I mean, as far as like it covers a base knowledge that we all need to know, regardless of whether some of it's applicable to real life or not. But like just learning how to interact with your peers, be a leader, and be a follower sometimes, and not always have to be the one with the idea, but learning to trust other people and kind of like those kind of things, I think help the most when you get out into the real world, because at 17, 18, I mean, we all thought we knew what we wanted to do. And then you get to 21 and you're like still figuring out. So you can't really plan on exactly what you're going to want to do. But if you can learn how to work well with your peers and just treat everybody with that baseline of respect, I think that'll take you farther than anything else.
For me, like high school really gave me the foundational skills for critical thinking that you need to use in the rest of your life. Like everyone always is talking about how certain subjects in high school aren't quote unquote applicable to like the real world or like what life is like. But first and foremost, like the goal isn't necessarily for everything to be 1 + 1 = 2. I can apply this exact information to an exact situation later on. It doesn't work that way. But through going through those challenges, through working through problem solving and working through things that were difficult to you, you were learning how to critically think. You were learning how to look at a situation in different ways. You were learning how to, put, like, for example, everyone talks about their taxes and how like, oh, you didn't teach me how to do taxes in high school. Well, you didn't need to learn how to do taxes because depending on where you live, what you're doing, and a bunch of other things, your taxes are going to be different, but you did learn how to read. And you did learn how to problem solve. So you can go, let me go to the irs.gov and see what they say about how to do your taxes. And then you can find out, oh, I can do these online, often for free, using the tools that they give you. And it's super simple. But a lot of people don't have, without those critical thinking skills, like where do I start? How do
Yeah.
I go from that start? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you get there? You need those skills. Not everything has to be 1 + 1 = 2. I can do this now, and so I'm going to do this later. No, sometimes they're really just teaching you how to stretch your brain, how to
Exactly.
problem solve, how to work through life. And that's actually why I got into teaching, is because I felt like I learned how to critically think in high school. Like it was rudimentary. It wasn't like I'm the smartest person out here, I'm the best critical thinker ever, but I got that base knowledge, and I've been able to grow and build and add to that now that I'm out of college and, in the quote unquote adult world.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all. Like it definitely taught me how to socialize with other people, because I was a kind of person, like I wouldn't say like I was 100% shy, but I also wasn't the most outgoing person at the same time. So it's like it taught me like how to like whether I like it or not, I had to put myself out there and socialize with other people, because high school, whether you want to be socially social or not, at the end of the day, you're gonna see those peers every day, Monday through Friday. So you had no choice but to socialize. So it kind of taught me like even when you don't want to be social, you gotta put yourself out there if you want to talk to people and make those connections. And it worked out for me. And like Amari said, it kind of high school kind of taught me how to think outside the box, because I had some great English teachers in high school. Kind of one of the reasons why I always wanted to be a writer and stuff. And it's like it taught me how to look at something on the surface level. It taught me how to look at something deeper than what it actually was. And as far as I'm not even talking about this reading a book or anything, just life in general. Because a lot of times I feel like a lot of us grow up like thinking that everything is black and white, but there's a lot of gray in certain situations. And like just learning that from my great English teacher, shout out to Miss Stacy, shout out to Miss Kayla out there, your fairy charter, I see you. And it's just like they just taught me how not to be afraid to like challenge things. You know what I'm saying? Like not to be afraid to like say my opinion on certain things and just be like thinking like, well, why can't we think like that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Instead of just following the crowd on certain like decisions. So that's what I
That's a
learned.
good point too. I think something that I would add to what I say is another great thing I think that you learn in high school is how to play devil's advocate against yourself and not take it so personally. Like I think one of my favorite things that got from a lot of my teachers is, you give an answer to a problem that seems pretty straightforward, and then they question you. Well, why do you think that? And then maybe they give some counter arguments to what you said. And you didn't necessarily give the wrong answer, but just that room for doubt, or could I have given a better answer and things like those. I think that devil's advocacy with yourself and not making it internal or personal is probably another one of the best things that you can get out of high school.
True. Another thing is too, high school kind of teach you how to have tough skin too, because I don't know about y'all, but it's like in my school, like motherfuckers was like roasting you, like, oh, look at him, dusty ass shoes. I'm like, oh damn, I knew I shouldn't wear these Adidas, man. Knew I should have brushed them off. And it's like it kind of taught me how to have tough skin, and or taught me how to roast back in certain situations. Like, oh, look at that tight ass hoodie. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like because
Right.
that's the real world you live in. You know what I'm saying? So
And to take criticism, because like the high school, I went to college prep school,
yeah.
one of the best in the state, and but so you were getting criticism all the time, from your peers, from your teachers. Like they would watch the presidential debates, like before the election, and then come into school the next day and have arguments about it, have debates about it. In class, like we were writing 3, 4, 5, 10-page papers and getting thorough critique on what we wrote and what we said. And so like you kind of have to learn to not take yourself so seriously. Like Steph was saying, you have to be able to roll with it sometimes and go, okay, yeah, I thought it was good, but maybe I need to work a little harder.
Mhm.
Level up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ego aside, definitely.
Definitely. So I was actually talking to a friend, right? She's actually goes to Drexel University right now. She's probably going to be watching this, and she
Shout out to
was
her.
saying like how like hard it is, like struggling. She's a sophomore right now, and like she's
Okay.
struggling with school and stuff like that. And she's trying to get through. She's trying to get through, but it's so much work she's trying to get through and stuff like that. And I told her like, trust me, you're gonna get through. And it's like she's just having trouble trying to have like that work overload and stuff and try to push herself through. Mind you, she still has 2 years left. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just think about all the kids that's not even graduating right now that still are struggling in school or like trying to tell themselves like this is going to be worth it, whether that's college or high school. So it's like, if you had a friend that was struggling through that, do you have any advice you would give them, or what would you really say since we all went through it? You know what I'm saying? What would y'all say?
Yeah, so for me, I think the one thing that I've learned and took the most from how I kind of went about the college process, because I definitely struggled as well. And I think it's that college, especially for everybody coming out of high school right now, is that college will be there. If you don't know beyond any doubt that you know exactly what you're going to college for, when you get that degree, what exactly you're going to do after that, whether it be maybe law, doctor, whatever. If you don't know what you're going to do, stay home, work, go get into a job, work your way up to a low level management, work that for 2 years and just get that experience working in whatever, maybe retail, food service, whatever, because there's this like pressure when you graduate high school that it's like, okay, what am I going to do now? Or what am I going to do that appears to make me look busy, makes me look like I'm moving in the forward direction? And there's just so much time. I mean, even, I graduated college at 21 years old, having just turned 21 years old. And, I practically at that point still felt like a baby. And of course, I was always the would I go back and do things different? Of course, we all would, with hindsight. But I think the most important thing is take a year, take two if you need to, right after you graduate, but you don't have to make those decisions until you know what you really want to do. You don't have to take those liabilities, the debt, the loans, those things. That will all be there. And when you have a plan. But at first, just figure out who you are.
Mhm. So I have a lot to say about what he just said, because I agree, I get it. But maybe more directed towards that person who's struggling, who's already in the college setting and who's struggling. First thing, you need to look at what are you prioritizing, in your schoolwork? What expectations are you having for yourself? So like, I know like I'm always been like super intense about school since third grade, like an overachiever, working really hard. And like that's fine and good. You should have expectations for yourself. You should have high expectations for yourself. You also need to be realistic. Sometimes our expectations of ourselves just aren't realistic enough and we burn ourselves out. We stress ourselves out because we're expecting mountains, we're expecting magic, but this is only a part of the journey. College is not the end all, And so I just think sometimes we need to look at our expectations. Am I overworking myself to get straight A's? Because that was what I was doing. I had a 4.0 most of my college career, and that's fine and good, but it doesn't matter. Like there were teachers who didn't have a 4.0 who are teaching now and doing great. It's not going to change my pay scale, nothing like that. You know what I mean? And so I was stressing myself out for 4.0 when a 3.5 would have been okay. When a 3.5 was okay. And then when I did get a 3.5, well, I don't think I got a 3.5. I might have got a 3.5, that's a lie. But when I did get it, I was like heartbroken. When I wasn't in like that 3.9 to 4.0 range, I like was really down on myself about it. But if you have a 3.6, that's still a tremendous feat. And even if you have a 3.0, that's still good. You were still trying. We have to become more okay with our best being different every day. You should be doing your best. I think it's important to work to your fullest, like, your full potential. Do your best. However, your best is going to look different at different points in your life, and that's okay. So look at your expectations. Look at what are you asking of yourself? Is it reasonable? Right. And then also, are you using the resources that your college has available to you? Are you utilizing the writing center? Are you meeting with your professors? Are you asking them questions in class? Are you emailing the question? Are you going to their office hours? Because I know as a teacher, when I have a student who is working their butt off, who is committed, who is trying, but maybe they're struggling with the material academically, I'm going to move mountains to help them.
Mhm.
You know, they're coming, if you're coming to all your classes, if you're taking your notes, if you're asking questions, if you're, you know, emailing your professor or going to their office hours, if you're utilizing your writing center, if you're utilizing whatever services are available at your university, you're going to be a little bit less stressed because now you have support. We
Yeah.
often feel like we have to take on everything on ourselves, and we, you know, and utilize your, like, if you are lucky enough to have a family that can support you, talk to them. You know, ask them for advice. If you know people in other majors, maybe you need a tutor. That's okay.
Yeah.
College is hard because it's a lot of self-motivation. No one is going to make you go to class. No one's going to make you do your work. No one's going to make you study for your quiz. And sometimes you have to put in a little extra effort. And I know that sounds like counterintuitive to what I was saying before, but what I'm saying is, like, you have to put in a little extra effort in order to be less stressed.
Okay.
So instead of going, yeah, I want to hang out with my friends for the next 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe I'll go to the library, get some work done for an hour, and then I'll go hang out with them.
Yeah,
You
time
know,
management.
Yeah.
time management, utilizing the resources available to you, and make sure your expectations of yourself are realistic. And that,
Yeah.
I think, will help you be more successful in college and successful in life, because those are all the skills you need in the real world when you have a job and you're trying to pay your bills and you're struggling.
Yeah. Yeah, you hit it right on the nail. As time management is a big thing that even me, I struggled with in college and stuff too. And it's like, it was almost a point, I'm not gonna lie, I almost dropped out the end of my sophomore year, like the last semester. I almost ended up dropping out, like, yo, I'm about to call quits and stuff like that. But I kind of just pushed myself to go back. But it's just like, I don't know. I feel like this time management is a big thing, and also prioritize, like, what are you really looking out of, what are you really looking into, as far as getting this degree, like, or is this something that you always wanted, or you just doing it because your family pushed you to go to college? Because I feel like a lot of people only go to college because they're the first person in their family to go to college, and like, yeah, I don't want to let my family down. At least that's how I felt. You know what I'm saying? It was that pressure, like, I don't want to let my family down and make it seem like, oh, they spend all this time trying to invest in me to go to college and it be for nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like make sure whatever you're doing in school, just make sure you're doing it for you, and like how you want your goals set up in life. And also, it's like Amari said, it's like, don't afraid to be ask for help, because it's plenty of resources in college too that ask for that help. But I feel like
Underutilized.
yeah, and it's like a lot of
Underutilized
us don't want to
resources.
ask for that help, because it's like you also said, college is a lot of self-motivation, because you got to push yourself to go to class, push yourself to do that 12-page paper by next week, push yourself to make sure that you meet these deadlines to post something online for your class. It's like, it's a lot of self-motivation, but that doesn't mean you can't extend a hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, ask for
Most
help.
importantly, you're paying for it, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. You paying for it, so why not utilize it? You get what I'm saying?
They're
Mhm.
taking your money for that tutoring service, whether you use it or not. So if you're struggling with the class, you might as well use it.
There it is. There it is. So, like, my advice for that, and also the people in high school, like, they're like not graduating yet. It's just like, tell yourself, like, just make sure you tell yourself that it's going to be worth it in the end. Just get your degree, you know what I'm saying? And just tell you and ask yourself, like, what do you want to do in your life? And I know it's you still like 16, 17. That's a lot to ask for a 16 or 17-year-old. But like, just like I say, like, take 10 minutes. Like, there's people that's on Instagram right now that scroll for 40 minutes to an hour. If you can just sit down, take 10 minutes at nighttime and just write a list, like, what are some goals that I want to achieve by 18 or 20? You know what I'm saying? And if
Or
you
just
write
in life in general.
yeah, and if like you write down that list of things that you want, and it's like, I'm pretty sure you can push yourself to tell yourself, like, you know what, let me get this out the way, you know, so that this get this GD or get this college this high school degree out the way, so that way I can focus on what's really going to make me happy in life. Because it's like Dom said, whether you want to go to college or not, college is always going to be there if you weren't going to take that year or two off. But at the end of the day, your life goals, that's something that's going to be on the timer. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
That,
So
and I think another, for the people still in high school is, if you have friends and parents or friends' parents that, hey, maybe their job looks like something that you would be interested in, ask them about it. Ask what they don't like about their job. Before you make up your mind and stuff like that, talk to the people that are already doing it. Because I think a lot of times, especially people that I've seen, is that the reason they struggle so much is because they made an imaginary choice on a job that they don't really know anything about past the material in the textbooks. And then once they start realizing like, oh, maybe this job isn't, what I thought it was, they have this imaginary commitment to it that I have to, this is what I picked, so now I got to go through with it. Talk to people ahead of time. Like,
Right.
for example, okay, a really big one is veterinarian school. And people think like, I love animals, like this would be great, I would love to do it. It has one of the highest suicide rates in the field, I think out of like most fields, because think further about it, you have to help people put their dogs down and things like that on pretty much a daily basis. So, you
And the
know,
pay is abysmal for the stress
exactly.
of the work.
Hmm.
So, a lot of people who are vets aren't making, like, they're barely making a living wage, if they're making a living wage. And then they're being asked to put people's animals down. They have animals maybe attacking them. They have to deal with the owners who aren't always the kindest.
Yeah.
There's a lot to that profession, and it's not respected either. And just to kind of add to what Dom was saying, to
Yeah.
why that their suicide rates are so high. And so those are things you need to look into. You know, what is the reality of the job that you're potentially, interested in?
Yeah. So I guess
I
the
didn't mean
right.
to interrupt you, Dom.
No, you're okay. Cause yeah, I mean, that was perfect. And that's exactly it, is that, a nurse, even being a nurse, there's a lot of great that you can do, and no one would argue that, but there's a lot that you have to put up with. And, we all have our own inner threshold for what we can deal with. And you might not be able to.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, so what advice would you guys give to someone who is currently in college, or someone who is about to go to college?
About to go to college.
Yeah, either or.
I already said it before. Like, make sure you try to master the skill of time management, and don't be afraid to ask for help when needed, because I feel like that's something I feel like it works at not your only school, but life in general. Time management, writing down your goals and certain things. That's things I'm kind of getting into, because now I'm like, these last few months, like just writing down certain weekly goals and stuff like that. That's something I'm still doing. So it's like, once you do that, and also like put time management, like certain things, or like how to split your time between your friends and actually getting your work done, what needs to be done, I feel like you're going you be fine. And don't be like me, try to when your friends leave or graduate or something like that, don't be that person to try to isolate yourself from meeting new people, because I feel like a lot of people or kids do that in college too. If oh, that's not my friend, or I didn't go to school with them and come here, so I'm not going to isolate myself from that certain group of people. No, college is about making connections and networking too. So it's like, try to make sure you do as much as that as possible, because you'd be surprised those same people you end up seeing in life and be like, oh, you work at this job? Well, put me on. You know what I'm saying? So
And
Right.
that's actually perfect, because that was going to be my last piece of advice for people going to college and who are in right now, is meet everyone. There's always events that are going to be going on campus, even if it's not required for your class, even if maybe it's not necessarily tied to your major, maybe it's something just kind of close or touches upon. And even if you want to hang out with your friends, get a couple of friends to go with you, but meet everyone, go to every event, because like you said, you graduate from school and 2 years later, you know, you meet the same people that you met before, or maybe missed out on opportunity to meet before, and they're in a parallel position, or a position that they could help you make it that next step up. And the world just gets a whole lot smaller, the more you put yourself out there.
thanks.
hmm Um, for me, I kind of like, I've been a really big about talking about, it's okay to not know. It's okay to not know what you want to do with the rest of your life. I think we put a lot of pressure on 17, 18, or 19-year-olds, babies, essentially, to know what they want to do for the rest of their life. But the fact of the matter is, most people end up working in 2 to 3 different fields um, by the time they retire, and that's okay. But also, you know, I know our worldview is so limited to the people we know and the people who are around us. So those are the careers we know.
Yeah.
We know what our parents do, our grandparents, maybe a couple of our aunts and uncles or whatever. But the world is so much bigger than that. And so it kind of goes back to what Dom and Steph were saying about, you know, kind of take time to learn yourself and learn what you like. But know that if you choose a major or choose a degree, and graduate with it or stick with it for a couple years and you're like, this isn't for me, that's okay too.
Yeah.
That's a part of the learning experience. Because honestly, you're not going to know what you want to do with your life until you are working and in the field and you're getting that experience in that real life. And also, that's how you're going to learn about what job opportunities are truly out there. Because there are thousands, millions of different jobs, different career options. But most of us can only name 15, 20 max, you know, or we'll say something really big like business when that's not a job, you know, and there's a lot of different things to do within that idea of business. But also, you're not on a timeline. You know, I know a lot of people of our generation just feel like we're running out of time. We're feeling like we have, if we don't achieve certain milestones by a certain age or a certain time, that makes us a failure, that means there's something wrong with us. I know when I was in college, when I found out that I was going to be in school for past 4 years, I was super upset. And instead of just taking it and going, that's okay, you know, because in college you have this pressure that if you somehow don't finish your degree in those 4 years, that you're a failure, that there's something wrong with you. You did something wrong. But I had a minor. And this major I was in, secondary ed English, didn't have a lot of wiggle room for you to have a minor that required extra classes and whatnot. And so that was hard, you know, for me to deal
It can
with.
feel
But
like you're being separated into a separate class of graduate. Like there's the 4-year graduates, and now I'm part of the 5th-year graduates.
Right, fifth, sixth. And I did it in 4.5 years, and I would have been so much happier and so much less stressed. And I would have gotten more out of my education if I would have just did a full 5th year. It would have made my life easier, you know, but I was stressed about the idea of having an extra semester and people questioning me about it and asking, oh, why didn't you graduate yet? You know, and it doesn't matter. Your life is different than everyone else's. You don't need to measure your success by what other people are doing and when they're accomplishing their goals. It has nothing to do with you. You need to be worried about leveling yourself up for yourself. And when you get to that goal, it's still a big deal. It doesn't matter if you buy your first home at 25 or 45. That's still a big accomplishment. You know, it doesn't matter if you graduated with your first degree at 21 or at 38. We're all living our own lives. We don't have to worry about it.
I said it's the same amount of work, no matter the time.
Exactly. You know, and we all have different circumstances. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors for everyone else. So you really got to focus in on what you want in your life and worry about that. How are you going to make yourself happy? How are you going to make yourself successful for whatever that means to you? You know, because not everyone needs a 4-year college degree. And some people, they need to get a PhD. That's different. You know, so we just got to worry about our own timelines and stop stressing so much about what other people are doing, you know, because, and I'm about to butcher this quote, but I believe it so full-heartedly, you know, comparison is the thief of joy. And
absolutely.
So much of our age group, I feel like the reason why we're so unhappy sometimes and we're so down is because we're comparing ourselves to what other people are doing and what people of previous generations have accomplished by our age. But we're living in different times with access to different things and with different values.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. But I guess to wrap it up for this segment, it's just anybody who's graduating, obviously congrats and stuff, and whoever's about to step into the real life world, just trust me. I know it does get hard. I'm not going to cap and say here oh, things are going to get way easier when we graduate. It's going to be some bullshit you got to deal with when you graduate. Trust me, bills, they Muhammad Ali on your head. But just know, try to learn some lessons. As long as you
stay
take
off
the
that
lessons
credit
that you
card
learned in school. You know what I'm saying? As far as not being afraid to network with people, not being afraid to prioritize certain things. You ain't supposed to be going to that bar with your friends every weekend. Try to make sure you get certain goals that you write down done and be able to prioritize and ask yourself, what do you really want out of life? And I feel like if you take those lessons, I feel like you'll be on fire in the real world. But just to know, you're gonna take a few hits because them bills, they got hands. I'm telling you. They them throwing their hands. They got them paws. congrats to the people that's graduating though.
Yes, congrats.
But
And don't
yeah,
stop learning.
yeah,
Don't graduate college or graduate high school and think that you shouldn't be learning still, that you shouldn't be, trying to educate yourself more, that's the end. Pick up a book still, read online things. Like Dom said, watch out for those credit cards. Learn about it first. Don't just go apply for the credit card. Learn about credit and then apply.
exactly.
Amen.
She said, "Amen." Like, oh yeah, yeah. It's like, damn, but shit, I gotta apply for that shit too. Man, that's crazy though. But yeah, congrats to the people that's graduating and stuff like that. Let's do good. And for the people that's in high school and college still trying to struggle to get through, it's gonna get better, y'all. So just stay tough, stay strong, try to learn as much as possible as you can. So that way, you be surprised what you're gonna learn in school that you want to apply it to your real life. So with that being said, so let me ask you guys a question. All right, so let me ask y'all a question. So obviously it's Black Music Month, you know what I'm saying? And on this month we're talking about music in any little segment we can in each episode. So we starting off June with a little bang, you know what I'm saying? So I'm also just thinking the other day too, like what are some artists that like influence y'all to get into music? You know, for me it was like Biggie, like Ludacris, Lil Wayne, Kanye, Childish Gambino, like artists that like kind of resonate with me a little bit. So what about y'all? What's some artists that like made y'all be like, damn, I love this shit? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so it's crazy because my music taste has changed so much from where it started. Because when I first started listening to music, I really kind of got in with like from probably starting at like Usher all the
Mm-hmm.
way up to like Chris Brown. So like that kind of like period of like R&B music was kind of like primarily where I was at. And then from there, I moved into more like Lil Wayne, Drake, then J. Cole, then kind of more into that kind of rap. And then from there, kind of in college, it moved more into like Lil Uzi, like, more like Meek, like more like party stuff. And then now, man, I'm listening to Stevie Wonder, Ben King, like, just Otis, like all that kind of stuff. Cause like that's what like really truly like brings me happiness now.
Yeah, that old soul. That's what you got. Ain't nothing wrong with
Hmm.
that. I'll be listening to Stevie Wonder, like Michael Jackson, The Temptations,
Yup.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'll be
Yup.
still listening to that. What about you, Afro?
It's funny. I just want to say it's funny how our music tastes change and flows with, age and like the people we surround ourselves with and what's popular at the time. I don't really know who got me into music. I've always liked music.
Uh-huh.
Like I used to want to be a singer, and I used to like go into my grandma's. Yes, I wanted to be a singer. I would go into my grandma's like dining room and write little songs and then perform it. um, don't ask me to sing because
I was about to say, can you sing,
Yup.
I can
Aretha
carry a
Franklin?
tune. I can carry a tune. No, thank you. My
Carry a tune.
brother, though, my brother, who's right under me, he's 2 years younger than I am. He's a singer and he can sing.
Yeah, you told me
So
that. You did tell me that.
yeah, but I don't know. I've always liked it. We used to listen to the radio like every time we got in the car, and we always had places to be. So,
Yeah.
but I like the same people you guys liked. I liked Destiny's Child.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I loved Aaliyah, and I was like devastated when she died.
Yeah.
Um, back in like 2002, I think it was, or I
Some of that
remember.
time around it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was real little.
TLC.
I was too. Why was I listening to Rock the Boat?
Yeah. Why was Alive was there? I wasn't supposed to be listening to Freak Elite, but you
Yo, I used to sing Murderer by Rihanna with my whole chest, bro. My whole chest.
Right. um, well, and it's funny because my parents definitely monitored what like songs we listened to, and especially when we were kids, like little. I
yeah.
would say like birth to like 10.
Yeah.
The typical ages where you're like, no. um, but they let me listen to that one. Rock the Boat was on, and Genie in the Bottle by Christina Aguilera.
Oh yeah.
I
That was
used
a
to
good song.
sing that one at karaoke every time. That was my jam.
I remember on my very first iPod, my dad, he was the one helped me get my music on there, and he let me put Jadakiss on there, and he was like, "If you ever tell your mom, I let you put this on here."
See,
Yo, that was
would've
like
been-
shit too. Like I remember, I was like 8 or 7, singing that song by Ozzy Brothers. You're contagious. That's you remember that
Yup.
song? I'm like, I ain't supposed to be singing this. Like, just thinking about all the times I'm singing this. Like, I'm like in first grade, just humming that joint in the back of the class, and they like, what he saying? All you hear is, what the hell is going on? They like,
Shaggy was the worst.
yeah,
Huh?
it wasn't me.
oh
It
yeah,
wasn't
my
me.
Shaggy, man. It was a lot of stuff we wasn't be, but it was like good music. You know what I'm saying? Where it's
Right.
like even though it wasn't for our age, obviously, like Biggie, technically we wasn't really supposed to be listening to Biggie, but it's
Nah.
like he was so good at his art that it's like we didn't
Right.
care.
And it wasn't necessarily all vulgar
Yeah,
or all
No.
cuss words. You know, a lot of music, and now like nowadays has a lot of vulgarity. It has a lot of cuss words, and you know that's fine because I'm an adult, I'm grown. But I think the difference is the music that was around when we were little. A lot of it was innuendo. Like the adults knew what they were talking about, but when you're an innocent kid, not so much.
Right.
Yeah, so I listened to like Destiny's Child. I loved Mariah Carey.
oh yeah,
I loved Aaliyah. Like I got the Mariah Carey and the Shakira CDs. as a kid.
Oh, Shakira. Oh my
I was-
God.
oh yeah. I had a
I was
crush on
in it.
Shakira. Finally.
That's what when Hips Don't Lie came on, like I knew something was happening inside me. I just didn't know what it was. But I knew something was changing.
Right. But then you get into like, and I liked Usher, but like you get into like middle school, and I was a hardcore Lil Wayne fan, middle school through high school. I can't
yeah.
even
Oh
lie.
yeah. Even when he went through that little rock phase, I was still
I loved
rocking
it.
with him.
I was rocking with it. But
Oh
I
yeah.
I grew
Drop
up-
the World. That was my
Right.
shit.
Bro, yeah. You remember Prom Queen?
Oh man, that album was tough. I don't care. That was an underrated
That's what
album.
I'm saying.
People
And then he
sleep
did the collab with Eminem right afterwards.
Mhm.
Drop the World. That was my shit. You know what I'm saying?
What song we shouldn't have been singing, and I definitely sang a lot in middle school, and my parents knew. My mom knew. You know what song? "Sexy
Lollipop?
Can I" by Ray J.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
I knew we had cable at the time, and you know how the cable comes with like the music channels, and I knew the unedited version. I knew multiple different edited versions. Like I knew the radio edit versus like other types of edit. "Sexy Can I" was my
A lot of shit we wasn't supposed to be listening to "Buy You a Drink" by T-Pain.
I was
but
just
we
about to
was.
say every
But it was on the
T-Pain
radio.
bartender.
Yeah, Bart, exactly. Like I was 10 years old singing, "I'm gonna buy you a drink." What am I buying? Capri Sun,
Lowrider.
Hawaiian Punch.
Akon. A lot of his songs. You
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
Akon and Young Jesus.
It's a convict. That's all if you remember. Yo, it was a lot of things, but it's just like it don't matter though, because it's like it was so good at what they did. It's just like it was just making good music. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously, the artists I listen like Jadakiss, like Biggie, Big L. You know what I'm saying? Tupac, Lil Wayne, Ludacris, T.I., Gucci
Mhm.
Man, all that.
All that.
It's like they was talking about things that that was going on in the hood and the street and stuff like that where we wasn't supposed to be listening to, but it's like they had such lyrical skill and they had such bars and punchlines that it was like, all right, I'm still interested. I'm still invested. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're essentially adult nursery rhymes. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, it's true. It's like my dad. I remember my dad. He played Wu-Tang Clan a lot, and he was
oh
like,
yeah.
he was a big Wu-Tang fan, especially like of Method Man. Do y'all have a favorite album? Because that's a hard one. Because I know I have a few, but do y'all have any favorite albums that you be like, damn, I got this on repeat all the time?
Currently, or like when we were kids?
Any era, like
I have a
Honestly,
mixtape.
I can listen to like any Lizzo album on repeat.
Okay.
I've listened to like her whole discography.
Acid Rap by Chance the Rapper.
Oh yeah, Acid Rap. For me, it's Usher's Confessions,
That's
I had
Oh.
that one.
Lupe Fiasco, the Lasers album,
Yup.
Childish Gambino's Camp, and probably Lil Wayne Carter 3.
Oh, and there's got to be a Drake
That's a
album
good
in
album.
there.
gotta be
The Drake album that came
Oh,
out
yeah,
summer
Drake.
summer 2016.
Oh, if you reading this is too late.
Maybe it was one that had like big rings, trophies.
Oh, Views from the Six.
Maybe. I just remember it had this.
Big rings. Oh, you talking about on two when he had Future, right?
Yeah, and then
What time
bro.
to be alive? That shit was
Yes,
popping.
yes,
That
bro.
shit was busting. Yeah, that might be on my list too, bro. That shit was busting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
and
like
then
that.
Nas is what was the the Nas album?
Illmatic.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a classic. Yeah. Yeah, but those are like a few like my favorite albums. Like obviously Chris Brown's first album is still up in my top favorite
Yep.
one of my R&B's, and probably Usher's Confessions. I like the
Sierra.
Destiny's Child album. That joint that
Yep.
had Soldier or Cater to You and stuff like that. Like smooth R&B stuff like that.
Hmm.
But what about the artists now in this generation? Like who you think are like some of the influential artists now that kind of like shape the way hip hop or R&B has turned out to?
I think if you look at like, because I think especially now more than ever, you kind of have to look past the distractions, like the little pumps and the, you know what I'm saying, like saying
Yeah.
like those like of the generation. So I think if you like really look at it, the people that are shaping it now, like it's just getting done with Drake, like Drake and them, like they're kind of just kind of getting towards the end of theirs. It's kind of tough to say. I would say like honestly, people like Chance the Rapper, J. Cole's still kind of a little bit younger. Like those guys are kind of like in the lead right now.
Yeah.
Kendrick. Um,
I was about to say him.
but like I don't really think there's like a solidified new school at the moment. Like there's nobody that I would really look at and say I can see you going, maybe except for Lil Uzi. Lil Uzi's the only dude that I can really see like going for the next maybe 5, 6, 7 years.
I kind of saw the same thing with Travis Scott too. Like when he came out in like college, around the college time, I'm thinking like, yo, he gonna be like the next like big thing, which he kind of was. Cause
The
like,
problem is that the profit is like they're all realizing that they can't really make the kind of money that they want to make in music, so they
yeah,
go into fashion and modeling and all that other stuff,
yeah.
or they try
Right.
to marry up.
You throwing shots?
They're trying to get a Kardashian, you know what
Like you got married. I'm about to start sliding some DMs my damn self. I'm like,
I'm saying?
Courtney, what you doing?
That's
Like,
I'm at the doctor's office, like,
exactly. Something got happened. Shit. But it's like, I
Listen,
feel
we're
like,
never gonna get that next Rihanna album. That's all I gotta say.
hey, she a billionaire. It don't even fucking matter no more. You know what I'm saying?
That I'm done with that.
You know what I'm saying? Let's put that dream in the past.
She
She a
said you better go
billionaire.
buy
She ain't
some
doing that.
Fenty.
Listen, like for me, it's like I think like Future has been like one of the most in the last 10 years. Like because a lot of dudes sound like
yep.
Future. I say Lil Uzi is a big one. Drake, obviously, because I feel like Drake is kind of like
Kevin Gates.
oh yeah, Kevin. See, Kevin Gates, I feel like he had more time in him because I feel like when he first came out, like he was rolling. You know what I'm saying? The first 2 years, but I feel like that gas kind of ran out a little bit.
Well, he's another one too. He got it now. He like breeds dogs and like a bunch of other stuff. Like he makes like
Right.
200K a month off dogs.
For real?
Mm-hmm.
I think Lil Baby's gonna last a while.
Lil Baby?
Yeah.
Yeah. But see,
I
that's
like
the
him.
problem that I get to is that I don't necessarily condone a lot of that music. Like where I'm at now. And I just like I think kind of goes back to what you said with like the innuendo is that even like if you look at Drake's original stuff, it wasn't like, popping perks and this and that. It was the innuendo of like what they're doing and
It was
kind of like
clever.
Yeah.
right. And so I just don't condone music, which is why I kind of moved backwards into like the Stevies and that kind of stuff. Is I just can't get on board with sending music messages to high schoolers and stuff that like taking pills and that kind of stuff is cool. Cause yeah, I mean, especially at our age, we've just seen so many people and what that does to them.
True.
Yeah. So that brings up an interesting question though. Like, do you think that artists have some sort of a responsibility to what message they put out? Because like we like to say like artists, well, at the end of the day, they not their parents, so it's their parents' job to raise them. But it's a lot of kids that are still influencing. We was just talking for like a good 5 minutes how influential music was to us. So do you think they still should take accountability on what message they put out in their music?
I think personally,
Yeah.
the music is reflecting the times we're living in,
Yeah.
not creating the times. So we need to look at what we're glorifying. what lifestyles are we, are we thinking is cool? A lot of the lifestyles that we are glorifying and, is like the get rich quick, regardless of the consequence, like the street life, we think that stuff is cool, but like, okay, you have a Birkin, but so I'm being honest, like you have all this designer,
It's
you
the
have all
reality
this
of it.
money, you have all this stuff, but do you have a high moral integrity? Are you helping others? What are you doing for your community? But but we've lost that kind of community. And so, and I know I say this all the time, but we lost that kind of community. And so that's what we're glorifying, like the individualistic, like, oh, I'm gonna do me and get me over you, regardless of the count, like the situation, and let's make money, let's have fun. And I'm all about that type of music in some ways, but in other ways, at the same time, I do think we're glorifying a lot of the bad parts of life, and it's just being reflected in our music because it's what sells.
Well, and I think just to kind of top off that is that I think as a parent, I think the best thing you can do, because we need to realize is that the music now is a lot more marketing tool than it is music half the time. So I think it's just teaching the difference between what's marketing and what's actual music. Like, for example, there's still rap that's actual music where there's a story, there's punchlines, there's something to be told. And more often than not now, you see a lot of those artists are more often independent. But why don't we look up independent music more often than not? Because the money's not there, because it's not marketed. So Little Pump, 6ix9ine, those kind of rap, they're marketing schemes. So I think that's the best. You're never going to be able to hold somebody accountable in those positions. So I think it's just kind of futile to think in that direction anyways. Just kind of teach the kids, especially now more than ever, what they're seeing in social media and what's real and what isn't.
Right.
Yeah. Like for me, like one of the reasons why I like the 90s, like hip hop and R&B, that's one of my favorite decades, is because it had a good balance of what kind of music it was. Like, yeah, you had the Biggie Smalls, you had the Big L's, you had the Big Puns, Tupacs, Wu-Tang Clan, and what some other street rappers like that, like what I mean, and stuff like that. But you also had like the Fugees and other Common, Nas's, and
Bone
stuff
Thugs.
like that. Yeah, exactly. They was talking about conscious shit, and it was a good balance. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to sit here and act like I wasn't listening to both. But I feel like when it comes to taking accountability on what message, I feel like as rappers or artists in general, you should take some kind of accountability, because I feel like now more than ever, like music and what we see now is way more influential, because back in the day we didn't think of it because social media wasn't at its its height. But now we got Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, I definitely think you should be very careful about what you put out in your music, because it's like hundreds and thousands of kids that see you put out this kind of message every day. So it's just like at the end of the day, it's like, I do get what people say, like, oh yeah, they're not their parents, they shouldn't raise them. But at the same time, it's like, if it's hundreds and millions of people that stream your music, you don't think at least a quarter of those people are going to take into consideration what you putting out? If you talking about popping Xannies or sliding up on the block with the choppers and stuff like that, maybe not every one of your fans going to say that, but it's going to be like a couple 100,000 of them kids going to be like, yo, I can really do this shit. You know what I'm saying? So
and half the time, the person who's putting it out doesn't even really do it themselves.
Right. And that's what I was actually about to say. Yeah. I think part of the issue is like I said, we've glorified this street life, this street mentality that isn't sustainable. Like I know Steph hates this, but this idea of, girls liking like the street, like the hood guy. He talks about that, and whatnot. But I think part of the issue is a lot of artists are putting on this persona to glorify this idea. So a lot of them, they went to college. They, are successful. They didn't grow up in the street life. They weren't in a gang. They weren't doing those type of things. But then they get into the music industry, and now all of a sudden, I was in the projects, even though really you lived in a house next to a project. It's not the same. You know what I mean? But they're putting on this persona.
You know why they do that shit? Because ignorant shit sells. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Because a lot of these record labels, at the end of the day, we like to say like, oh, it's plenty of conscious artists, it's plenty of artists with a positive message, which there are. But at the same time, a lot of these records ain't trying to look for the artists that can put out that message. Because you
Right.
get what I'm saying? Especially like in our community. Let's be honest here. If you talking about some stuff to bring your community together and stuff like that,
Right.
they might let like a J. Cole or Kendrick in the door, but it's like that's not going to be the majority
Yeah.
of people because it's like that stuff don't sell. And plus, they really
Our
don't
attention
want us to
spans are
be
short.
together. They don't want people to really connect. They
Right.
like that shit. They be like, oh yeah, talk about popping Xannies. Yeah, talk about killing each other. Cause that they know that's what's going to sell. And it's like it's almost like putting a bomb and giving somebody the control for it. It's like, yeah, self-destruct on your own.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, and our attention spans are short. I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but songs are getting shorter and shorter.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, songs used to be 4 minutes, 4+ minutes, 3 minutes and something. Now, so many songs are 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. That's not even a real song to me. That's a jingle.
That's an old ringtone.
It's a
Yeah,
commercial.
exactly.
But our attention spans are short. So you go with what's quick and flashy and loud,
Marketing, yep.
And so I get what both of you are saying. I agree. The only thing is, it's hard because I'm an adult without children. And so for me, I know the difference between right and wrong. And I know there's a lot of people, adults or otherwise, who don't.
Mhm.
But so certain music I can listen to and it's cool because I'm all here.
Right.
I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go out there and do any of those things. I'm not taking any drugs. I'm not, I don't find those things cool, but it's a fun song. The song itself is fun. The message isn't something I'm going to do, but I'm like, yeah, let's live young and wild and free. That's a song too. But
Are there like any positive artists you listen to then? If it's like, because obviously we talk about the ones that's like in this generation, and I know people say like things like J. Cole or Kendrick and stuff, but I feel like they're like the go-to now. You know what I'm saying? But isn't any like independent artists you feel like I'm not saying they got to be the most conscious artists, but like artists that would actually skill, but also can talk about like tell a story?
so I listen to her.
Okay.
And I think she's not like an independent artist. She is becoming like more well known,
Yeah.
but her music, it tells a story and it's crafted well. Like her name, like it means something. It's not just like, oh, her, it means having everything revealed. So she's trying to like give you this message, and her song, I Can't Breathe, like it won like a Grammy or something of that. And it's basically a song that was released after George Floyd's killing.
Mm.
And it's kind of like a call to action in many ways. And I think a lot of her music is in response to the negatives in our culture, but like it's a response meaning let's do better, not a response to like let's keep messing up.
Yeah. That's a good one. I did hear that song. That was a good song. What about you, Don?
If I had to pick someone right now, I would say, it's hard to pick someone. Okay, I'll go with Sleepy Hollow. He's a New York City rapper.
Yeah, that's my guy. I like
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna pick him because he's the best of both worlds. He could drop a drill rap that's fun that you go out with your friends, you play in the car, and
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, you get in that mindset of like having a good night. But at
Yeah.
the same time, he makes a lot of good music that deals on relationships and things like that. And I appreciate the being able to do both.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me, I kind of like artists like Mick Jenkins, like Isaiah Rashad.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all heard this rapper Don Tripp.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
yeah, 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 yeah. Erk up.